Chapter 1. All this exists right now. I shall tell you about co-creation, Vladimir, and then everyone will be able to provide an answer to his own questions. Please listen carefully and write about the Creator's great co-creation. Listen and try to understand with all your soul the aspirations of the divine dream. After uttering these words, Anastasia fell into a silent distraction. She looked at me but said not a word. Her distraction was probably due to her feeling, or noticing in my facial expression, signs of incredulity in what she might have to say about co-creation, about God. But really, how could I, or anyone else for that matter, not entertain at least some measure of incredulity? What could not this passionate recluse dream up next? She doesn't have any historical proofs to offer. If anyone can talk convincingly about the past, then surely that would be the historians and archaeologists. And there's a lot of talk about God in the Bible and in books of other denominations, in all kinds of books. Only for some reason, when they talk of God, they can't seem to agree. Might not that be on account of the fact that nobody has any convincing proofs? There are proofs, Vladimir, Anastasia suddenly broke in confidently and excitedly in answer to my silent question. All the proofs, and where are they? All the proofs, all the truths in the universe are preserved forever in every human soul. Lies and falsehoods cannot survive for any length of time. They are exposed by the soul. That is why so many different kinds of religious treatises are thrown at man. Footnote: throughout the Ringing Cedars series, the word man with a capital M is used to refer to a human being of either gender. Lies constantly need new disguises to survive. And that is why mankind is constantly changing its social structures, trying to find in them the truth it has lost, yet only distancing itself from the truth even more. But who has proved it, and how, that each one contains the truth within, in man's soul or in any other part? And if it is indeed there, then why does it stay hidden? On the contrary, not a single day goes by but in the sight of each one of us, the truth strives to bring itself out. Life around us is eternal, and it is through the truth that eternal life comes about. Anastasia quickly pressed the palms of her hand to the ground, ran them over the grass, and then held them out to me. Look, Vladimir, perhaps these will dispel your doubts once and for all. I looked and saw in her outstretched hands seeds of grass, a small cedar nut, and some sort of bug crawling. I asked her, "What does this mean? The nut, for example." Look, Vladimir, such a tiny, wee kernel, and yet if you plant it in the ground, it grows into a majestic cedar. Not an oak, not a maple, not a rose, but only a cedar. The cedar in turn gives birth to a kernel just like this, and it will contain, just as the very first one did, all the information about its pristine origins. And if millions of years ago, or millions of years from now, a kernel like this makes contact with the earth, still, only a cedar will sprout out of the ground. In it, every kernel of God's perfect creation, all possible information has been fully implanted by the Creator. Millions of years may go by, but the Creator's information will never be erased. And man, the apex of creation, has been given everything by the Creator at the moment of co-creation. All the truths and all future achievements have been inculcated by the Father, inspired by a grand dream, in his beloved child. Well, then how do we attain that truth in the final analysis? From somewhere within ourselves? From our kidneys or our heart, our brain? From our feelings. You should try to determine the truth with your feelings. Trust yourself to them. Free yourself from mercenary dogmas. Well, okay, if you know something, say it. Perhaps somebody will be able to understand you with their own feelings. What is God, for example? Can scholars draw a portrait of him with some kind of scientific formula? A scientific formula? A formula would extend many times around the earth, and when it stopped, another would be given birth. God is no less in worth than what can be born in one's thought. He is the firmament and the empty space, and that which cannot be seen. There is no sense in trying to understand him with the mind, however keen. Take all the formulas on the earth and all the information in the universe as a whole, and squeeze them into the tiny kernel of your soul, and turn them into feelings, and let your feelings then unfold. But what am I supposed to feel? Talk in terms more simpler, clearer, and more real. Help me, God, Anastasia pleaded. Help me with the creation of a worthy image out of today's word combinations. Well, no, not enough words, huh? Why don't you go take a look at a dictionary? It's got all the words people use today. All the words available at the moment. But modern books do not contain the words your forefathers used to describe God. Are you talking about Old Church Slavonic words? Footnote: Old Church Slavonic, a literary language developed from the Slavic dialect used by two monks named saints, Kirill and Methodius, who first translated the Bible into a Slavic tongue in the 10th century AD and invented an alphabet, which many people identify as Cyrillic, wherein to write down their translation. It was used as the liturgical language of the Russian Orthodox Church up until the 12th century. Its present-day derivative is known simply as Church Slavonic and is still used in Orthodox liturgy today. And even earlier, before the Old Church Slavonic alphabet was invented, there was a means by which people set down their thoughts for their descendants. What are you talking about, Anastasia? Everyone knows that our proper writing system came from two Orthodox monks. Their names were something I can't remember. Kirill and Methodius, perhaps, you have in mind? Yes, they created our kind of writing system, after all. It would be more accurate to say they changed the writing system of our forefathers and foremothers. What do you mean they changed it? They were following orders to make sure the culture of the Slavs would be forgotten forever, to make sure that the remnants of knowledge of our pristine origins would disappear from human memory, and a new culture would be born, that our peoples would subject themselves to different priests. What have the writing systems and a new culture got to do with that? Suppose children today were taught to speak and write a foreign tongue, and forbidden to express themselves in the one they already knew. Tell me, Vladimir, how would your grandchildren learn about events of our present day? In people deprived of a knowledge of the past, it is easy to inculcate new teachings, simply by treating them as important. And they can tell them anything that they like about their forebears. Once the language had gone, the culture went with it. That was the aim, at least. But those who formulated that aim were wholly unaware that the sprouts of truth remained unseen forever in the human soul. All it takes is to drink in a single drop of dew so pure for the sprouts to grow and mature. Look, Vladimir, please accept my words and try to feel what lies behind them. As Anastasia spoke, she would either slow down her speech or quickly rattle off whole phrases at a time, or else suddenly fall silent for a moment, ponder something for a moment, and then pluck unfamiliar, drawn-out phrases literally out of the air, and occasionally a word or two I had never heard before would weave their way into what she was saying. Sorry. But each time she said an unclear or unknown word, she seemed to give a start and replace it with a correct or more understandable variant. And it always appeared as though she were trying to prove something whenever she talked of God. Everybody knows man is the image and likeness of God, but in what respect? Where are God's characteristic traits within you? Have you ever thought of that? No, not really, I admitted. Never had any occasion to. Why don't you describe them yourself? When a man, exhausted after his daily cares, lies down to sleep, when he ceases to feel his weary body, his set of invisible energies and his second self leave the body to some degree. Footnote, second self, see Book 3, Chapter 15, A Bird for Discovering One's Soul. And at that moment, earthly limitations do not exist for them. They know no time or space. In less than a second, your consciousness crosses all the distances in the universe, and your complex of feelings senses past and future events, analyzes them, measures them against the present day, and dreams on. All this means that man feels the unfathomable divine universal creation not only with his flesh. His God-given thought is at work, creating afresh. Human thought alone is capable of creating other worlds or changing what has been created. Sometimes a person will cry out in their sleep when they are scared by something. Their complex of feelings, free from earthly cares, is frightened by events of the past or the future. Sometimes a person creates in their sleep. Their creations strive, quickly or slowly, to embody themselves in earthly form. And how ugly a form they take, or how harmoniously they shine forth, depends wholly or partly on the degree to which inspiration plays a role in their creations, on the degree to which all aspects are taken into account in their accuracy and detail at the moment of creation, on the degree to which inspiration empowers your divine self. In the whole universe, creation is something inherent, in the whole universe, creation is something inherent in God alone and in God's Son, man. God's thought serves as the principle of all. His dream is transformed into living matter so that it may be seen. And human actions are preceded by the human dream. The opportunities for creation are equal for all the people of the earth. It is only that people use their opportunities in different ways. Here man is accorded full freedom, and freedom he has. Tell me now, Vladimir, what kind of dreams do God's children have today? You yourself, your friends and acquaintances, for example. For what purpose do they use their creative dreams? What purpose do you use them for? Me? How do you mean, for what purpose? Just like everyone else, I've tried to make more money so that I can somehow get my life on a solid footing. I got myself a car, several, in fact, plus a lot of other things I needed to get by. Good furniture, for example. And is that it? Is that all you have used your creative, God-given dream for? That's what just about everyone uses it for. For what? For money. How can you live without money? to have a decent set of clothes to wear, to eat a little better, to buy things, get something to drink. What could be clearer than that? And you ask what for? Something to eat, something to drink. You realize, Vladimir, that all this has been given to everyone in abundance, right from the very beginning. Given? Well then, where did it disappear to after that? Think for yourself. Where might it have gone? Well, I would imagine the original clothing simply got ragged and worn out, and the original food got eaten up eons ago. Times are different now. Clothing fashions have changed, along with tastes for food. Vladimir, God gave his son indestructible garments, and his food reserves are not the kind that can ever be exhausted. So where is it all today? It has been preserved. It exists right now. Then tell me where. Where do I find the hiding places where so many supplies are stored up even today? You shall see. They shall be seen. Only look with your feelings. Only with your feelings will you be able to grasp the essence of the creation of God's dream.